Hey guys, welcome to Muskie Road Rules Podcast and Patreon. Guys, thanks for listening to us here every week. And also thanks for the people that are members of the Patreon page where you can actually see what we're talking about. And I encourage everyone to at least try it. You can do it for a month if you don't like it, or you can always cancel. And when you do it, when you sign up, you get all the past episodes as well. So if you sign up, let's say today, you'll get everything that was recorded and released before this. And it works out really, really nice for you. So a lot of cool stuff. This week's episode is going to be about something I think a lot of anglers don't take advantage of, and simply because they may not know what they're doing. And that is electronics. And we're going to actually focus on the Garmin series of electronics this time. Garmin has kind of made its way into the mainstream fishing. They've always been around with their GPS technologies and stuff, and with the outdoor world, but they've really came on in their fishing sonar units. Even have their own trolling motor now. So Garmin is something I think we're seeing a lot of here in the marketplace. So, and it's with the live scope, which they came out with first, has really created a stir. I don't care what your opinion is on, is it good, is it bad? Just going to talk about the Garmin and see how it compares to the other units that are out there. And I got my friend Jake from Fishlectronics. Jake, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. How are you, Greg?
Good. You look way better. Before, Jake was using his phone. He got super digital, and no one could see that beard, and that is a shame. So that's what we want. We want to do here. So, Jake, let's talk a little bit about the Garmin and how it's entered the fishing space of the average consumer, where it used to be there was kind of Humminbird and Lowrance, and that's what everybody was talking about. That's what you either had one or the other. It was the whole Ford Chevy of the whole deal. And now Garmin's come in there and had done some things. And maybe tell us what a couple things about the Garmin units that how they compare to the other units that are out there.
Yeah. So first off, with Garmin, like their whole user interface has just came into the fishing world, and it's just super simple to use. So anyone that wants to is mad at any other electronics companies and wants to come over to Garmin. First off, it's going to be super simple for them to just hop in, and you'll be right back where you started with whatever. And the user interface is just incredible. And then the workings of the unit, it just seems that it works a lot better than everything else. It's always talking, it's always making sense, and they're a really good unit all around, whether it's a GPS map, echo map, forward facing sonar, non-forward facing sonar. Everything just seems like it's a really good unit for being the newest one in the whole grand scheme of things.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Garmin, when it comes to electronics and stuff, I mean, they've been around forever.
Mhm.
They have a name in the GPS world. I mean, I remember Garmin as, it was the brick you held in your hand. It was like the first GPS that we ever had in the boat. And it wasn't even attached, it wasn't part of a sonar unit yet. It just, you had it in the boat and you could look at it, very rudimentary. But they've done a ton of stuff. So let's compare like, how does like the 2D, the side scan, with Humminbird, you have your mega imaging. I don't know what Lowrance's version of mega imaging is.
Mhm.
And then I'm sure Garmin has it as well. Looking at strictly from the sonar point of view, what does Garmin have anything really different than the other companies?
So I guess to start off with, every single brand has their best thing of some sort. Lowrance, their best thing is 2D and waypoint management. Humminbird, for the longest time, their best thing was mapping and side imaging. Garmin, for the longest time, was forward-facing sonar. Now, Garmin is slowly just chipping away at the block and making everything better. So their side imaging is absolutely incredible. I went out fishing with Luke this year. We were seeing walleyes left and right on the side imaging on his Garmin's. It was honestly incredible. I was a Humminbird guy through and through, and it was like, oh wow, this side imaging is incredible. You're going to be able to do everything that you do with your Humminbird with a Garmin side imaging. It wasn't very good to start. A couple of years ago, they came out with a couple new transducers. They've been out for 2-3 years now, the GT56 and the GT36, and those have just been incredible. Down imaging, or their clear view, it's basically the same thing. It's a very good feature. It's very clear, crisp images, and just it's a really good feature. 2D, I haven't played around with it a ton other than lake trout fishing, and it's been honestly pretty good. So I guess the only thing that I'm not a huge fan of, but it's one thing that just everyone needs to take their or get used to it, is their mapping.
Mhm.
But very cool part about mapping is you have all of America and Canada
Okay.
preloaded in every unit.
All right. So you don't have to have a chip or nothing like that.
Nope.
And then how are the contours? I mean, is it like Lake of the Woods? Is Lake of the Woods in 1 foot contours, 5 foot? What is it?
1 foot contours. I've personally noticed it missed a couple of things here and there.
Yeah,
Um,
that happens.
It's just that's a body of water that stuff's missed, right? So, but it's all 1 foot contours, and it seems to be a pretty good map. It just looks a little different than what everyone's used to.
Where do they get their mapping data for
It's on
Garmin?
Navionics.
Okay, so they're taking the Navionics data, okay,
Yep.
and then putting it into the
Correct.
deal. Okay, no, I get that. That works.
Yep.
And most of Garmin, I would assume, like all of them, are going touchscreen.
Yeah, there are still a couple units out there that are GPS maps that aren't touchscreen, but 90%, 95% are all touchscreen.
Yeah, yeah,
Yep.
okay, yeah. I am still not a huge fan of touchscreen units for the simple fact of wearing gloves and rain and
Yep.
all that stuff. It it does get annoying, but I mean, it's first world problems.
I was gonna say right now everything's touchscreen.
Yeah, it's all going over that way, and I want you to get on, here eventually too. I want to get on here with you, and we'll go with some of the new Humminbird
Mm-hmm.
stuff that's the Explorer series that they're going now, and all that. So,
Mm-hmm.
how about you kind of walk us through some of the things on the Garmin there? If you turn your camera, I'll make you bigger here, and I'll get on my prices, my Wheel of Fortune mode on the thing. Go angle your screen down on the computer.
How's that?
That looks a lot better.
Okay.
And so it's hard to read what the buttons say, but you can just talk about them.
Yeah.
So that right there, you're looking at, that is your forward-facing sonar, correct?
That's your forward-facing sonar. This is obviously the simulator mode because I'm not on the water right now.
I leave mine in simulator mode all the time, and we see so many fish. I found that's a great way to keep people interested.
Yeah.
I can just, and then we go by like a battleship on the bottom, and I'm like, that's definitely not here. um, it's not right. But so the forward facing sonar, that was really such a big thing in the industry, and it's a hot button topic for a lot of people. And like I said at the beginning, I don't want to talk yes, no, I like, I don't, you're ugly, you're stupid, blah, blah, blah. But as a technology, it is a very, very revolutionary deal.
Yes.
And Garmin came out with it. It's the one that I use. And it has so much detail. And to me, they have And I've not seen the Lowrance one, but I know this is the Garmin one works for me, and I like it, and it seems good. Do you see them coming out with anything new in this front here anytime soon?
Not to my knowledge. I'm not told very much as far as that goes. Honestly, at this point, I don't really see them needing to. They're kind of at the top of the list as far as forward-facing sonar, so kind of why would they, in
Yep.
my opinion? But I would assume in 2, 3, 4 years, we could probably see a new transducer, a new black box, something coming out like that for sure.
Yeah, I think a thing that I've always thought, or something in the back of my mind, is a live 360. Um, might be something we see coming,
Oh, for sure.
uh, and stuff like that. Why don't you go back to the beginning there, Jake, and kind of show how you can choose the screens and stuff. So, like you, when you first turn it on, kind of walk through that with people.
Yeah. So basically, when you first turn on your screen, you're going to have a screen similar to this. Basically, what you're going to have is you're going to have your pinned, your charts, your radar. Most people aren't going to use radar, sonar, and then if you want to have a combo. And then basically, the charts that I like to use, obviously, I'm in simulator mode right now, but fishing charts. So it's going to bring me to Florida here. Let's go up to Lake of the Woods. Don't look at that. So basically, your fishing charts is going to be your best form of navigation. I'm in night mode here, so everything's black.
Yeah, I can see that better actually.
Okay, good.
Um, on the deal. So yeah, you can see the contour lines. Can you on there um, do the highlights like on some of the other units?
You can. You can. And one thing that helps with it too is if you go into your active captain, which is a Bluetooth app on your phone, and you can download special maps. So you have a normal map that just comes with your unit, and then you can download special maps through Active Captain, and you can adjust all of your depth contours and all of your shading through that.
Okay, but you can't do it on the unit itself.
No, I don't ever look at this map.
Oh,
You stumped me here, Greg. I know you.
we-
I know you can somehow.
we're learning together.
We are learning together.
Yeah, I was just wondering because that is a feature that I use a lot with my Humminbird unit,
Mm-hmm.
simply because um,
Hello.
did you get it?
Yep. So you got your depth shading here.
Why is
And
it real white? Is that real white?
it's yellow. It's a little tough to see. And you can't change it, I believe, to the colors that you would like, unless it's in your app. I'm not. So yeah, you get
What color?
red, yellow, green, brown.
Oh wow! See, it's not even showing that on the computer. You can't even see you just see a giant white spot.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it just
Sorry.
must be the way it's reading it. But so, how did you do that? What were the buttons that you hit on the side that allowed you to do that?
So layers, water, and then depth shading. And then you can change your colors right here, 0 to 5 feet. I have red. We can change that to pink. Back, depth shading. 10 to 15 feet. You can change your color here. We can change it to blue.
Uh huh.
Back, 10 to 20. And you can add all these new depth ranges and everything right in there. And it's underneath the water setting, water layers.
Water layers. All right. There
Yeah.
you go. I'm glad you learned something too. Um, but so there's that. You can that's with the graph, and to select the graph and everything, from the bottom of the screen, you just kind of pick
You're gonna go right,
whatever you
correct, right
whatever
into
you want to see.
charts, into fishing chart. And then if you want to, go over to your sonar and you want, say, side imaging, you're going to go right over here to side view. And then here comes your side imaging.
Okay. Now, when you use this, is that the color palette you use, or do you change it, or what is your
I
particular?
I change mine. Let me see here. Appearance, color scheme. My favorite is, where are ya? That guy, right? Orange crawfish.
Orange crawfish. Nice.
That's my favorite. And honestly, that's me partial because I like hummingbird, and it's probably the
I,
closest you can get to hummingbird.
I was going to say that looks a lot like um, the hummingbird one.
Yep.
Try just do me a favor here, real quick. Can you turn the light down on it, like the screen
Yep.
brightness? Oh, that is way better.
Okay. Is that better?
Now, yeah, now you can actually now
See
you
what's
can
going
kind of
on.
yeah, and go ahead and move your laptop over a little bit so it's not glaring on there.
How's
If
that?
that's possible. That's
Better?
better. Yeah, that now you can actually see. Yeah, we should have done that at the beginning because that is now I can actually see the thing. It was just so bright. It wasn't the go back to that map real quick if you don't care, and let's see if that really. Oh yeah,
Let's see here.
are you back in Florida?
Uh,
Are you in Okeechobee?
no. We'll go over here to Pelican Island on Leech Lake.
Okay, yeah. See, now I can see colors. Before it was just giant white. So yeah,
Gotcha.
that did a lot, turning that screen brightness
So
down.
here, we can, I'll show you how to change that again. Options, layers, water, depth shading, and then we'll go 0 or 5 to 10 feet. We'll change that to green, and then you can see it changed it here, right? Just
Beautiful.
just like the hummingbird, and then you're gonna click back, similar to what everyone's used to. So
Yeah. Hmm.
it's
No,
it's just
I like it.
it's once you learn how to use it, obviously everything's got a learning curve, but once you learn how to use it, everyone that I know that is using it has been wildly happy with it.
Yeah, and it's just like with your tablet and your iPhone, you can use your fingers to enlarge, to shrink
Right.
on the screen. So it's just any type of touchscreen deal, just like we're used to doing with our own devices. So
Exactly.
that that makes it nice. Let's go back to side scan there and kind of talk about your settings and what you like with the side scan. So it's
So
coming up your orange craw there. What are the
mhm.
settings, like the 3 or 4 things you think is the most important about the side scan and setting it up?
So honestly, right out of the box, it's been pretty good from what I've seen. I don't have it in my boat, so I haven't gotten to play around with it too much to dial in my settings. But when I've been out with it, I've been changing, your contrast a little bit. You can change your contrast here, just like Hummingbird, and then it's going to give you a very quick, it'll show you exactly what you've done. Brightness, frequencies, you can change your frequencies there. Zoom,
So
go ahead.
what does explain what contrast is to people? I mean, it makes blacker black.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to change your color palette just a little bit. I find that when you change it, it seems to make more sense in different depths. So if you're fishing in 5 feet of water versus 30 feet of water, you're going to want to change your contrast a little bit.
Mhm.
And I've always, in my opinion, I change my contrast to what looks best to me at the time.
Sure.
Because If you have an algae bloom, it can change. I change my contrast and my sensitivity all the time.
Yeah. And so
Constantly changing.
sensitivity is definitely one thing I've noticed, especially when you're getting into deeper water. You might have to bump it up a little bit, or if you're getting into a real nasty algae bloomy water, you want to dial it down, or the whole screen will just fill up with crap.
Exactly.
So I know about that, and the contrast. What's the did you say frequency?
Yep. So basically, just like how you can change your frequency on a Humminbird, you can change your frequency on the Garmin. In simulator mode, it's not letting me, but you can change your kilohertz.
Okay. Go through what are the kilohertz. I know what they are with Humminbird. Are they the same with Garmin?
I believe they are the same with Garmin. It's going to be that
Okay.
407 to 780 or something like that. And
Mhm.
then you're going to have your 1.75, and then which is going to be your mega, which is going to be what that 1070 is on the
Mhm.
Garmin. And
Mhm.
then you're going to have the 750 to 8 something, I believe.
Mm. Yeah. And for me, the biggest thing is in the deeper water, the lower the kilohertz I want to use,
Exactly.
to get a clearer image.
Yep.
Um, and that to me that to me is a huge thing, because if you try to run mega imaging in 30 feet of water, especially on lakes that have a lot of algae, bug hatch, or anything in the water, you're going to get just a very, very cluttered picture.
Right.
Um, and you're going to have to bump up your sensitivity and contrast just to get the bottom to read that great. But by going down to those lower kilohertz, you get way better images, and it really, really makes a huge, huge difference
It does.
on your screen. Anything special that Garmin does with their side scan that you can't do with the other units?
Not to my knowledge. It seems to be a pretty straightforward hop between Garmin and like Humminbird. I haven't noticed anything wildly different.
Mhm.
Other than images look just a tad bit different, but everything, there's a learning curve.
Sure. Sure. That's the thing. Speed wise, on your scroll speed for your side scan, what do you like to set yours at?
Let me see what this one's set at. So this one's at 5. I would probably run it around probably like a 3 or 4. And
Hmm.
obviously it just depends on, if you're trolling headlocks at 3 miles an hour, you're going to want to bump it up. If you're casting a spot and you're moving around at 1 mile an hour, you're going to want to slow it down. So
Hmm.
completely depends on how fast you're moving in your boat.
Sure. No, I get that. Now with the transducers for these, where do you see the best placement for them? Is it kind of like what we talked about with the Humminbird? It's all,
Yeah.
you haven't noticed you have to change transducer areas or anything?
Not that I have noticed. I've mounted Humminbird transducers right next to Garmin transducers, and I'll get just about the same picture between the two of them. So that seems to just be the way of a side imaging transducer.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, so it does good. What so with the Garmin again being touchscreen, um let's say if you want to zoom in on something or set a waypoint, how would you do that from like your side scan, you see a rock or some weeds off to the side and you want to mark them.
Yep. So you can let's see here. Well, let me do it. You can pause it. Let's see. How do I mark it? So there's your zooming, obviously.
Uh-huh.
And then I don't know if it wants me to do it right there. So this one took me a little bit to get used to, but you want to almost drag your thumb, and then you're going to take your cursor
The crosshairs.
When it's paused. Yep, your crosshairs. And then you can, I believe it's down here. No, where are you? Mark waypoint right there.
Yeah.
Right in that top corner once you get your crosshairs over it.
And then you go and take, and then that goes right onto the map. And then
Correct.
when you have your waypoint on there, how do you, with other brands, there's ways that you can change the symbol and create your own type catalog.
Yep.
How do you go about changing the symbol with Garmin?
So basically, see how it says waypoint at cursor. You can
Mhm.
edit. You can name your waypoint symbol. You have all of these symbols here. You can pick whichever one you would like
Mhm.
and go from there. And then you just believe once you
And you get to that just by, if you were on your map, do you get to that by, can you just touch the waypoint and that come up?
Yes. So let me see if I have any named here. We'll just place one right here. So where's waypoint?
And so that on your map, to put the waypoint down, you just touch it, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And you can click mark down here too. And that'll
Okay.
mark one wherever your boat is.
Oh, okay. That makes it nice.
Yeah.
So let's say if we want to edit that waypoint, how do you go about doing that?
So you click the
Just
waypoint right there.
okay.
See how it's highlighted? Then
Yeah.
you're going to click 0040. That's my 40th waypoint here. And then
Okay.
you
And
got
you
your
go,
symbol. Say that's a rock.
yeah.
And
All
then
right.
now I have a rock there.
So that actually makes it really nice because just by touching it, that is, you don't have to go through the menus.
Correct.
It almost like Garmin is making this the Apple of transducers.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
if
exactly.
you're, if you are, the reason I've always loved Mac and Apple, and it's funny because I'm not using it now to do these podcasts with, um, but it seemed like if this is the way it should be done, that's the way they do it.
Exactly.
And that's something that I do really like. So yeah, I like how that's pretty cool there, how you can do the waypoint stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I think that's something that's going to be real interesting to people um, on it. Now, the units, what sizes can you get these in?
Oh gosh, the smallest one I have seen is a 7, and I know they make them all the way up to a 24.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Oh
So,
God, could you see me being that asshole out there with a 24-inch screen? I would love it. Just driving around, eating and not paying attention.
yep. Yep.
That would be that would be hilarious.
Yeah.
Um no, that's a huge screen.
And
Um
in that size, the 24, obviously that's looking at the saltwater market, right?
sure. Yeah.
And
Yeah,
that's
no,
that's where Garmin really is. They shine in the saltwater a lot.
yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's very,
No,
very,
I
very new to the freshwater side of things.
yeah. Is there anything that you've seen with Garmin versus the other ones that makes you say, I mean, the way it interfaces with the trolling motor, the way it, what do you like about the units, and you being in the shop and you actually talking to people and installing these units that you see that you like or that you
Yes.
hear people liking?
Well, like I said at the beginning, the user interface, everyone just loves it. So and it's easy to learn. So when you install a complete Garmin setup on a boat, screens, transducers, trolling motor, one really cool part about the trolling motor is you can control everything from the touch of a button on your screen, and it all networks wirelessly. So that's super cool. You don't need to run any wires. It's just through Bluetooth. Um, And basically, the whole system just works together. It talks well so that you don't have issues with one screen not seeing side imaging, one screen not seeing your live scope, your 2D, your trolling motor, stuff like that. So we've just had lots of people, I guess we haven't had lots of people complaining, I should say,
Yeah.
like you do with other products.
Yeah, no, I definitely and that's nice when you're in the installation business and everything.
Yeah,
Um and it used to be with these and and you can correct me if I'm wrong, when guys started buying them, they just bought them for um forward facing the Panoptics deal.
a
And
hundred,
that was, you
hundred
know,
percent.
and now they're getting into the the other stuff with them. What is, you know, is that something you're still seeing, or are you seeing a lot more people going to just using it for everything and outfitting their boat with Garmin?
So I would say people usually their entrance into Garmin is always forward facing sonar. If oftentimes if guys are like, oh, I just don't want to use Humminbird forward facing sonar, we'll talk them into doing a Garmin one, and then they start to just make the full transfer over. And we are doing a lot more boats now that are just straight up all Garmin, and guys are
Okay.
just they're falling in love with it, and basically just the lack of issues is going
Okay.
to it's just causing their why they're falling in love with it.
Yeah, the one thing I do like about Garmin is how they attach to the cradle.
Yep.
Um, when
Yep.
you go to take the when you go to take it off, it's just you have the actual power cradle that fits into your holder,
Yeah.
and you just flip the little or squeeze the little latch on the back, and it just
Mhm.
pops off there,
Yep.
and it makes it real simple when you're trying to move or take the unit off. I do like that.
Yep.
Um, and they seem to the other thing is once you get it locked in there, it doesn't seem to lose connection. Um, it works really good. Have you used the trolling motors at all?
I've I've been in boats with them. I've installed many of them. I've never actually ran one for I mean I've tested one for about 5-10 minutes, and they seem like a rock solid trolling motor. I don't know anyone that's had issues with them. They
Yeah.
haven't they haven't been able to break them, and
The only thing I don't like is the foot pedal looks really tall.
that's my
Uh,
issue with them too.
I mean, it's stupid. Why make a foot pedal that tall?
Yep.
And I would die with it. I know I would because I can't stand.
I
Um,
I call it standing like Captain Morgan.
yeah, it's the dumbest thing. Why would they do that?
Yeah,
And is their trolling motor is their foot pedal wireless?
it is wireless.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've heard it's just two AA batteries. I've heard that they last up to a year. Now I don't know how much
I,
fishing is happening in that year.
yeah, I mean that's not that's for people. That's that wouldn't be me. I
Right.
could guarantee you that. What makes the trolling motor so good? I mean, that's the thing. I mean, I've been a Minn Kota guy, I've forever, and
Yep.
hell, I break them, but
Yeah.
I haven't found anything else that makes me want to get
So
something else.
if you want to run forward facing sonar and you want a Tarova style trolling motor where you push the latch down and it slides, right?
Yeah,
You can run a forward facing sonar transducer on the Kraken.
yeah,
The cord actually runs through the center of the shaft.
yeah,
So that's their biggest draw there is people don't need to have a goofy the cornfield crappie mount with a pipe up here and a pipe here and then a cable dangling, and
yeah.
that's people's biggest draw to them, in my
But the
opinion.
problem with that is then you can only look whatever direction the trolling motor's pointing.
Correct.
And I think that is you know a misuse of power.
Yep. I mean,
Um,
it's one of those things where if you want to sit in a bump seat up at the front of your boat and you want to make specific casts, that's a great deal. Granted, you're never going to be able to spot lock. Say you're
Yeah.
walleye fishing, you're never going to be able to spot lock because now you don't know which way your transducer is pointing because your trolling motor is always moving.
Yeah. No, great. Yeah. I never thought about that, but that makes sense.
Yep. So,
Um,
and that's where the pole comes into play. I personally, when I'm using my forward-facing sonar, I'm using a pole
yeah.
because
No,
I get to pick where it's pointing.
yeah, you can look and yeah, I don't, the whole mounting a transducer on the trolling motor never made sense to me. It
Yep.
is just, it takes away so much of what you can do with it.
Mhm.
I am not a fan of that. Um, the the Kraken though, it already has the transducer in it, correct?
No.
Okay.
You have to buy the transducer separate from the Kraken, and then there's a $150 bracket that you have to buy, and then you have to bring it to someone like me to install
Oh,
it.
well,
Yeah.
that sounds that's no, they're and they're brushless, right? Is everybody still on this brushless kick?
Yes. Yep.
I want more brushes. I've always said I want as many brushes as I could get. Because I just, because the one thing I did learn this year or did notice up on Lake of the Woods, and I would say probably 2 of every 5 fish that followed on Lake of the Woods went straight to my trolling motor.
Okay.
They loved it. It was their best friend in the water. And
Interesting.
and my old ass trolling motors, I mean, they make more noise. It's a party going on down there. It's like a quinceañera
Yep.
underneath the boat, and
Yep.
they either go to my trolling motor, they go to my prop, or
Yep.
they go to the transducer of the Panoptics, and they just stare at it.
They never just go to the bait, huh?
No, they love going to other places. But if you get a follow, in the follows you don't see so many fish, guys are saying,
Mhm.
oh, it has less noise, it won't scare the fish away. Well, shut up. Because with the Panoptics, I caught probably 10, 11 fish last year, just figure eighting the trolling motor, seeing one swim up to it and telling guys to drag their bait uh, in
Really?
front of the trolling motor. Yeah, it's
Well, let me ask you
the,
this. Are you a
yes.
constant? Are you a constant guy?
No, not usually, but it
You're
didn't matter.
you're momentary on and off all the
Yeah,
time?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It didn't matter if it was running or not running. Hell, I mean, it did not matter.
Really?
No. Yeah, that it had no bearing on anything. They just, and like I said, the prop in the back of the boat, they love to look at it. I think it's just anything in the water, if they're curious,
Mhm.
is they're going to look at. And like I said, the trolling motor gets looked at so much. And now as far as fish hitting the trolling motor, I have had it happen. Not,
Mhm.
I mean, twice in 30 years I had it happen.
Okay.
But actual looking at the trolling motor, that last year was crazy how much I noticed it. Because
That's insane.
I run my Garmin in, I love perspective mode.
Yep.
The forward facing is fine. I use it at certain occasions, but
Mhm.
I most of the time have it on perspective mode, and I think that for the live for the
Mhm.
Panoptics is the best mode um,
Yeah.
to run it on if you're fishing water less than 15 feet.
So,
Um,
I have a couple things for that.
mhm,
So, I'm learning as everyone is right now. If you buy an aftermarket perspective mount,
mhm,
like the NBT Trident mount, that you can tilt it down more
mhm.
and you can make them read up until whatever depth you really want. I think they top out around 30 or 40 feet is where you can really stop to see bottom,
Yeah.
but you can change the angle of your transducer. So that's one thing that's really cool with.
Yeah. Now, when you change that angle, are you losing as you go deeper? Are you losing what you see on the surface?
Yes, right. So your whole angle is going to go like this, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
you can pick that. But if you're wanting to use it like a side imaging where you can see
Mhm,
shadows in the fish and whatever, or like a 360,
mhm.
then you can change that angle. And I've learned that that's been a very key thing for guys is changing that angle from the standard Garmin angle to wherever they need it to be.
Sure, sure. No,
It
I can get
clears
that.
up your image a lot too, I guess.
Yeah, I love that part of it because I can see I think it's a damn near 60, maybe over a 60-degree swath of
Yep.
water.
Yep.
And let me get my hands. Oh, look at that. I can clap. Um, the I like to set it. I always try to do it where I find the trolling motor on
Hmm.
there and I put the trolling motor on the lower side of the screen, the bottom side of the screen,
Okay.
and then I know where it is, and then I know that okay, this is the image that I'm looking at,
Sure.
and it's amazing. This spring down here with all the dirty water we got, how many seeing the follows that you can't see with your eyes,
Hmm.
and it really does help, and I've found it. It's been a huge boost in my catching fish. Now, again, I'm not driving around looking for fish and casting at them. If that's the
Hmm.
way, if that's, how you're doing it, whatever.
Right.
The only problem I ever have with Panoptics is if you catch them too deep and the fish are dying, because I killed enough of them when I was trolling too deep in the summer many years ago. They
Hmm.
don't live. So that's all I'm going to say about that.
Yep.
Um, but the units itself, it's really cool. You got to make sure you got the black box going, just like on an airplane. Always find that black box, and it's it's a big part of it. So I personally I'm using two hummingbirds and the Garmin for the live stuff. I still
Hmm.
use I still got my Humminbird for my side scan, and then I like to run 2D just because I've just always done it. And there's times I think I see bait a little better on 2D.
Sure.
And so I do like running 2D, and then I have a mapping one that I have my map on and waypoints and all that stuff too. So
Yep.
but I love the Garmin setup. I love the picture quality, the clarity, the ability to even on the live on the Panoptics, you can blow things up,
Yeah.
and you can see stuff like that. I love all of that, and yeah, I mean, and I like I said, I've not had them talk to each other because,
Yep.
of course, Garmin and Humminbirds won't talk to each other, but um, I've heard their networking is really nice.
Yeah. It's absolutely incredible. I mean, basically, if you plug everything in correctly, I have yet to have an issue where I can't get a screen to pop up or I can't get a scope to pop up, and it's like,
What if you hook it up incorrectly, like I do a lot of times?
I mean, honestly, it's hard to hook the stuff up incorrectly.
Oh, come on now, challenge laid. I could hook this baby up wrong. You should have seen me the other day in the boat. My console stuff hasn't worked all year. None of my lights on my console, none of it worked all year. And I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna have to rewire this. It's gonna get terrible. And yeah, it was a fuse. So I got back in the fuse box and I'm like, because my fuses at the end of the year, because I don't carry enough fuses half the time because I'm a moron, I'm like, okay, I don't think I need this this auxiliary two. So take that fuse. I'm going to put you in there. Okay, is it working? Yep. All right, there we go. And so I think I must have taken just too many fuses out, and I had to like
Yeah.
put a bunch. I loaded her back up, and now she works. So I'm happy with it. But I did go and go all lithium batteries. I put those in.
Okay.
And I did the Shanghai Jack version of them, the Lie Times, and the 100 amp hour 31 series batteries, which are really light. I like that. They're not near as heavy. I bought a NoCo charger, and and then my next day out on the water will be the first time using them.
Okay.
And I only wired them up wrong one time, and I was only getting 12 volts, but it's because I crossed a wire. So
That's good.
I fixed that. Yo, God, for me, are you kidding me? I thought it'd be way worse than that. So I was happy and everything. So no, it was I'm kind of interesting to see how these dudes are going. I got the self-heating ones. So and I bought an extra one because I know I'm gonna break one. And I just I'm curious to see how this lithium stuff goes. I really like my house battery. I'm using a 200 amp hour Chinese special, and so far it's working great. And I'm running some pretty beefy stuff. I'm running a 15 Helix, I'm running a 12 Helix, and a 12 Garmin. So there's some juice being pulled there. And I'm running a 200 amp hour, and it starts the day at 13.1, and at the end of the day I'm at like 12.9. So
it's perfect.
So I'm not having a big power drop, and I can get 10 hours and have very little power drop. So I am liking that. It's the first time that I've ever had. It's by far the best battery I've had for that, because I've went through so much headache with batteries and these graphs on how much. What is a Garmin? Do they draw a ton of juice?
So they're actually not that bad. Obviously, it depends on what size screen you're using, but like I have this is my ice shuttle that we were just looking at, and I have a 52 amp hour battery. It's a 12-inch screen with a live scope, and I got like 22 hours out of it last year.
Wow. Okay. So is it true? I've been told, I don't know if this is true or not, that Hummingbird, the Helix, probably takes the most power.
No, I would say Apexes take a little bit more, and obviously it's just because it's a more of a processor. But honestly, Garmin, middle of the road.
Okay,
Nothing,
so it's not
nothing too crazy. Yeah, if you have if you're running 2-3 screens, 100 amp hour battery. If you're running 4 or 5, maybe a 160, and you should be fine for your average 8 to 10 hour day.
Yeah. No, that's I encourage everyone to get a house battery, to get a lithium house battery, because it will save it'll make your life a lot easier, and you won't be dealing with power drops.
Just
near as much.
the safety factor of you're not killing your starting battery.
Oh yeah, I do that. I've done that. I used to not turn my motor off. That's the only way I could run them. I just leave my motor on all day. So I gotta,
That's good for your gas bill.
It is, and you got a 4-stroke on the air, so you just talk a little louder, and hell, it's wonderful. If there's a little bit of smoke, you don't have as many mosquitoes or bugs, and depending on the wind, you get a little buzz from the gas smell. So good stuff. I had a gas leak one time in my motor that was so bad it was leaking gas into the boat, and I was smelling gas back there, and I'm like, oh, this smells really weird. And I'm asking the guys I'm fishing with, I'm like, do you guys smell that? That's just very gassy back here. And we're going, there is what, and I couldn't turn the motor off. There is water. There is water. There is gas shooting in the lake. It was coming in. I got to the boat ramp, put a bucket. I went to the marina. It had like 20 gallons of gas in the hull.
You couldn't figure out why you couldn't get on plane.
The boat was literally a Molotov cocktail going down the lake. I'm glad I didn't turn on the bilge, because it would have just, it was that got really screwed up. Yet another dumb shit I did. But Jake, how can somebody get a hold of you if they want you to work on their boat?
They can just go right onto the Thorn Brothers website, and you can email us at sales@Fishlectronics, or our phone number is right there, and give us a call whenever they want, and yeah, we'll see what we can do for you.
All right. Well, I tell you guys, these guys know what they're doing. Jake is my lifeline when it comes to if I'm in trouble. It's never if, it's when I screw something up. And these guys know what they're talking about. Bought a lot of stuff from them over the years and get really, really helpful with it. So make sure you check them out. And we'll get Jake on here again, maybe talk some Lowrance stuff. And maybe show off the new Explorer series from Humminbird, some of their cool stuff. I think that's worth doing. Still a lot of guys, you know, and Jake, the Helixes, they stopped making them, but there's so many of them out there. People are going to be using them forever.
Yep.
The Helix units. So that's you know, something that I have. I personally like it. I haven't. Whenever I'm forced to change, I'll probably go to an Explorer unit. I'm sure I'll hate it from the beginning because that's just me. I hate anything at the beginning because I get confused.
Yeah.
And it's just because I have poor coping skills that I never developed as a child. So
it's been a wild learning curve.
Yeah. Is it different?
Oh, completely. It's completely different, but again, they fixed up their user interface, and it's not too bad to find stuff.
Oh, I'm gonna start punching people. I'm not. Oh my God. Keep your kids away from me, because I'm just gonna punch a baby if it starts. Oh,
We'll just go spend a day in the boat together, and you can ask me all the questions.
I can just get super frustrated and just, you know, complain. That's my default. Just complain. Be just a ornery shit. So, all right, Jake. Hey, we're gonna sign off here. I want you to stay on with me though for just a minute.
No
And
problem.
I appreciate you coming on.